What's up, Hoop fam? It's Coach Steve with another edition of Magnum Opus. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about one of the forgotten GOATs on a team that keeps getting left out of the greatest team ever conversation. I'm talking about none other than Shaquille O'Neal and the 2001 Lakers. They struggled through a disappointing regular season to be the best game of Allen Iverson's life away from going undefeated in the playoffs. On the way to the finals, they knocked off three 50-win teams and multiple Hall of Famers in their prime. The game we're going to go over today is Game 4 of the 2001 NBA Finals. I'll admit, Shaq has had better games than this one statistically, but I chose this particular one because of his matchup with reigning Defensive Player of the Year Dikembe Mutombo, who, despite putting up one hell of a fight, couldn't stand up to Shaq in this series. Steph Curry has the best gravitational pull in today's NBA, but in the early 2000s, no one attracted as much defensive attention as Shaq Daddy. Here's an example of Shaq's gravity. No team would dream about leaving an open shooter in the corner on the strong side, but AI can't help trying to prevent this pass to Shaq. Unfortunately, he ends up giving D-Fish too much room and this turns into a rhythm jump shot. Shaq didn't even have to touch the ball to distort the defense on this possession. In this clip, Mutombo is in a tough spot. If he stays with Shaq, he's allowing Rick Fox to get a shot at the rim. If he leaves Shaq to go help them, Fox may drop a dime to Shaq, or it might allow Shaq to get a putback. Mutombo chooses to stay with Shaq, and luckily for the Sixers, Fox blows the layup. Here you can see Shaq draw the attention of every defender without making a scoring move. He takes one dribble toward the paint, and it draws a hard double from Eric Snow. Shaq makes the easy pass out to Rick Fox, who doesn't catch the ball ready to shoot, allowing the Sixers to dodge another bullet. Once again, Mutombo is in position to help on this Kobe drive to the rim. Just like the earlier clip, he has to make a decision. Do I help and potentially give up a putback or easy basket to Shaq, or do I stay and take my chances with one of the best one-on-one players attacking? Mutombo stays home, and unlike Fox, Kobe finishes the play for an and one. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Shaq catches the ball on the block and draws a crowd. Unlike Fox in the earlier clip, Brian Shaw is ready to shoot when Shaq kicks it out to him. He just misses the shot. Earlier in the game, the Lakers punished the Sixers with basket cuts when players forgot about their assignment and started watching Shaq. First, B. Shaw cuts to the rim for an and one, followed by a Ron Harper basket cut for another hoop with the harm. Matt Geiger is in a great spot to cut off Harp, but he's so busy watching Shaq that by the time he sees it, he's late, and it's another three the old-fashioned way for the Lakers. This almost looks like a set play, similar to the Spurs' hammer action, with Ori flashing and ultimately getting a backscreen on Eric Snow that ends up in an open corner three for Harp. Most people disrespect Shaq's offensive skill set and dismiss his dominance as just being the result of his size. Shaq did use his size effectively, but there was so much more to his game than just being big. If it was all about size, Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan would be dominant players in this small ball era. Shaq did most of his damage before he caught the ball by having a high motor and always fighting for position. And when he gained advantageous positioning, he could not only finish with tremendous power, but also with a very underrated amount of touch. Right here, Mutombo meets Shaq at the free throw line, and Shaq casually walks him down to the block to set up a triangle with Kobe and Fox. He makes a quick move to the middle and shows that touch I mentioned earlier with a turnaround over his right shoulder. This just isn't fair. Shaq walks Mutombo under the basket where he can't get the rebound. Once he does get it right in between Hill and Mutombo, he shows the mean streak that every big man needs by bowling Mutombo right in the mush, and to add insult to injury, he mashes it right on his head.
Just mashes the ball through the basket, and you can see Shaq, he loves that kind of moment. It's what he talked to us yesterday about, Marv, that he said...
Shaq didn't do this nearly as often as he did in Orlando when he was carrying a lot less weight, but when Shaq filled the lane as a rim runner, you were better off just grabbing him before he caught the ball, because once he gets it with this type of positioning, it's too late. In some earlier clips, we saw Mutombo's hesitance to help on drivers. The reason why was because earlier in the game, he went to help on a Kobe drive and this happened. The best way to get your big to stop protecting the rim is to not help the helper, and the rest of the Sixers paid for it later. Here's Shaq with another rim run after contesting the Iverson shot. Mutombo crashed the glass instead of leaking out with Shaq and ended up paying for it. It's hard to fault him for it, but the results end up being a foul for the only person with a chance to slow down Shaq. One of the things the Sixers did tactically in this game to slow down Shaq was press the Lakers in hopes of forcing quick shots and decisions by their role players. Lucky for the Lakers, they had vets like Robert Horry who couldn't be enticed into making bad decisions. One of Shaq's favorite techniques was to kick the ball out and repost for better position. Once he gets what he likes, he attacks middle again, does a little bunny hopping in the pea patch, and uses that underrated touch over Mutombo. Here's some of that 2000s era spacing that I don't miss, with Lou a little too high and Harp not all the way in the corner. The lack of spacing allows the Sixers to help on the Kobe drive and the Shaq roll without distorting the defense too much. Mutombo isn't strong enough to keep Shaq from flashing to the strong side post and establishing deep position, but this time Shaq can't get it to go down. Another Shaq rim run leads to free throws. He subtly slows down at the free throw line to give Kobe a passing angle for the lob entry, and the Sixers have to foul him again. These fouls don't seem like a big deal, but we must remember that in the NBA, teams shoot after 5 fouls in a quarter. If Shaq is drawing 2 to 3 fouls without the ball, his team is getting into the penalty that much earlier. More Shaq unfairness on this one. You're not supposed to be able to go underneath the backboard, come back in, and dunk it in a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year's face, but here we are. No one, I repeat, no one in the history of the game has had the mix of size, strength, agility, and speed that prime Shaq had. No one. Another great tactical move the Lakers used under Phil Jackson was at the end of the half or quarter following a free throw, they would have Shaq post up instead of staying in for rebounding responsibilities on what was probably going to be a made free throw. Poor Matt Geiger here wasn't ready for the Lakers to push the ball up the floor and enter it to Shaq, and now he's putting Shaq on the line before half. All of the fouls Shaq drew earlier in the quarter earned him free throws, and to add insult to injury, Aaron McKie misses a box out, and Shaq rebounds his own miss and does this with it to finish off a 20-point, 11-rebound, 3-assist first half. Those numbers would make Shaq first-team All-NBA at center right now, and he got them in a half. During this playoff run, Shaq had 3 different 40-20 games. For perspective's sake, that's as many as there have been in the entire NBA the last 2 seasons. The second half was filled with more Shaq dominance, and the Lakers' lead got as high as 20 points. Through the brutality and brilliance of Shaq, the Lakers were cruising. Shaq dominated the second half with hooks over his left shoulder and soft knuckleball turnarounds over his right shoulder. Some days you're the fly, and some days you're the windshield. Shaq was always the windshield. I don't know what you're supposed to do when someone is bigger, faster, stronger, and more skilled, and Mutombo couldn't figure it out either in this series. But Allen Iverson would lead a run in the fourth quarter that would get the Sixers to within 7 points. This pull-up would get the Sixers within 12, and this floater between 3 Lakers would cut the lead to 10. A fast break after a missed free throw would allow Iverson to get into the paint and create this layup for Tyrone Hill to get the Sixers within 8 points, and the Philly fans are ready for another miracle like they witnessed when AI went off for 48 in Game 1 to steal a road win. Another turnover would lead to a fast break, and Aaron McKie would get fouled and make 1 of 2 free throws to pull the Sixers within 7.
Here comes McKie. McKie is fouled.
Then Shaq makes this dunk and gets an assist for a Brian Shaw 3 in an 11-1 run that was capped off by another big shot Bob Dagger 3 to get the lead back to 17, and the Lakers never looked back.
Shaq. Again comes up with a clutch field. Ron Harper getting lots of playing time tonight. Shaq, 34 points for Shaquille O'Neal, along with 14 rebounds and 4.
Look back the entire evening.
Horry this time from straight away from downtown.
Well, if you don't double Shaq, he has 34. If you do, they're pairing you with their three-point shooting. Mark, this is an amazing run that this Lakers team is putting on right now.
We know how this series ended. The Lakers were hanging another banner, Shaq winning another Finals MVP, and teasing us once again with a reminder that when he was focused, he was the most unstoppable force the league has ever seen. Thanks for checking out another episode of Magnum Opus. The next one's going to be on Steph Curry and his performance in Game 5 of the 2015 Finals. Stay tuned. More to come.